You are, by almost any measure, one of the most informed human beings who has ever lived. You carry in your pocket a device that can answer nearly any question in seconds. You know the Earth goes around the sun, that germs cause disease, that the universe is billions of years old. You have access to more knowledge than every king and scholar of the ancient world combined could have dreamed of. And so it feels obvious, almost beyond question, that you are smarter than the people who came before, that our distant ancestors, with their stone tools and their fires, and their tiny stores of knowledge, were simpler, duller, less capable minds than the sharp modern brains of today. Progress, we assume, means we have been getting smarter all along, and the ancient human was the dim beginning of a long climb up to clever us. But here is a question that quietly takes that assumption apart. If you were dropped, right now, into the world of an ancient hunter-gatherer, stripped of your phone, your tools, your stored knowledge, everything the modern world does for you, how long would you survive? Could you find clean water in an unfamiliar wilderness? Could you tell which plants would feed you and which would kill you, read the sky for tomorrow's weather, track an animal across bare ground, make fire from nothing, craft a tool that could take down prey, navigate home across 100 miles with no map and no road? For almost all of us, the honest answer is that we would be dead within days. And the ancient human we are so quick to call our inferior would have done all of it without a second thought, because their life depended on a depth of knowledge and skill that would leave the smartest modern person helpless. So the question is not as simple as it looks. Were ancient humans really less intelligent than us, or have we simply confused knowing more facts with being smarter? This is where you have to separate two things we constantly mix up: knowledge and intelligence. Knowledge is the collection of facts and information a person has access to. Intelligence is the raw capacity of the mind itself, to reason, to learn, to solve problems, to think. And the crucial truth is this: the amount of knowledge available to humanity has exploded over the centuries, but the underlying intelligence of the human brain has not meaningfully changed at all. The brain you are using right now is, in its fundamental capacity, essentially the same brain that ancient humans carried tens of thousands of years ago. Same size, same structure, same power. An infant born 40,000 years ago, raised in today's world, would grow up indistinguishable from anyone around them, able to learn to read, to do mathematics, to use a computer. And a modern infant raised in the ancient world would grow up a capable hunter-gatherer. The hardware has not upgraded. Only the information loaded onto it has changed. Once you grasp that, the whole picture flips. The difference between you and an ancient human is not a difference in brain power. It is a difference in what each of you was required to know, and in how each of you was forced to use the same powerful mind. And when you look honestly at what the ancient mind had to do, it is not obvious at all that we come out ahead. In fact, in some ways, they may have been sharper than us, precisely because their world demanded more of them. Consider memory. You barely use yours anymore, and you know it. Why memorize anything when a device remembers it all for you? Phone numbers, directions, facts, appointments. We have outsourced remembering to our machines, and our memories have grown soft from disuse. But an ancient human had no such crutch. Everything their group knew, the location of every water source across a vast territory, the seasonal movements of every animal, the identity and use of hundreds of plants, the entire history and stories and rules of their people, all of it had to be held in living human memory, and passed on by voice alone. There was no other way to store it. These were people who could carry staggering amounts of detailed information in their heads, and recall it precisely, because their survival and their culture depended on it. Their memories were likely trained to a sharpness most of us can scarcely imagine. We have not grown smarter here. We have simply handed the work to machines and let the muscle wither. Consider, too, their reading of the natural world. An experienced hunter-gatherer could look at a landscape and see it the way you read a page. The faint print in the dirt telling them what passed by and when. The subtle change in plant life revealing where water lay hidden. The behavior of birds and animals warning of a predator or a coming storm. They held a working understanding of an immense web of living detail. Thousands of facts about plants, animals, weather, and terrain, integrated into a deep practical wisdom that let them survive in conditions that would kill us in a day. This was not simple knowledge. It was a vast, sophisticated body of understanding, demanding constant observation, memory, and sharp reasoning to use. The idea that the mind behind it was somehow dull or primitive collapses the moment you actually consider what it was doing. Now the myth worth killing, the one sitting under this entire question. We have inherited a deep belief in progress as a straight line, the idea that humanity has been steadily marching from stupidity toward genius, and that the people of the past were simply lesser versions of us on the way up. It is a flattering story, and it is false. Human intelligence did not climb from dim to bright across the ages. It has been essentially constant. What has grown is not our minds but our accumulated knowledge, the vast inheritance of facts and free tools handed down and built upon by generation after generation. We are not smarter than the ancients. We are standing on a taller pile of what they, and everyone since, have discovered. And once you see that clearly, a genuinely unsettling possibility opens up. If intelligence is a muscle, shaped by how hard the world makes us use it, then the very ease of modern life, the tools that do our thinking, the machines that hold our memories, the comforts that spare us from ever having to solve a hard problem with our own minds, may be quietly letting some of our mental edge grow soft. The ancient human lived every single day under relentless mental demand. Every meal a problem to be solved, every journey a feat of navigation, every season a test of planning and memory and skill, with death as the price of getting it wrong. That constant pressure kept the whole mind sharp, engaged, fully used. We, by contrast, can drift through much of modern life, barely stretching our minds at all, because so much is done for us. It is at least possible that the ancient human, forced to use their full mental power every day merely to stay alive, was in some real sense operating closer to the true limit of the human mind than most of us ever do. So were ancient humans smarter than us? The truest answer is that the question itself is built on a mistake. They were not smarter, and they were not dumber. They had the same magnificent brain we have, the same capacity to reason, remember, learn, and create, and they used it, on the whole, more fully and more demandingly than we typically use ours. They knew far less than we do, because far less had yet been discovered. But knowing less is not the same as being less intelligent, and in the raw skills of memory, observation, and survival reasoning, they may well have outmatched us. We did not inherit better minds than the ancients. We inherited their minds, unchanged, along with the enormous mountain of knowledge that they and everyone after them slowly built. So the next time you feel the quiet superiority of the modern person looking back at the primitive past, turn the picture around. Imagine the ancient human dropped into your life, marveling at your machines, and then imagine yourself dropped into theirs, lost and helpless within hours, in a world they navigated with total mastery. The knowledge gap runs enormously in your favor. The intelligence gap may not exist at all, and where it tilts, it may not tilt the way your pride assumes. That humbling truth is the real inheritance, the understanding that we are not the brilliant end point of a climb out of stupidity, but the latest carriers of a mind that has been extraordinary all along. Somewhere very far back, a human being held in their head the entire living map of their world, every plant, every animal, every water source, every story, and read the land and the sky with a skill we have almost entirely lost. They were not a dim ancestor waiting for cleverness to arrive. They were as sharp, as capable, as fully human as you are, using the very same mind you are using to read these words. We have not left them behind in intelligence. We have only forgotten how much they had to know, and how much, in growing comfortable, we have quietly let ourselves forget.